good rendition of the live chat, only to find out the frickin' mic wasn't turned on. All right, guys, so you know what? You have a second chance to enjoy this live chat theme song. Here you go. Oh, technology. It's time for live chat. Ooh, the Psychetruth live chat. Every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time on your YouTube machine. Live chat, live chat, live chat, live chat. I'll answer your questions about whatever you want to talk about on the Psychetruth live chat, live chat, live chat, live chat. Psychetruth live chat, live chat, live chat, live chat, live chat, live chat. The Psychetruth live chat. No live chat would really be a live chat without some insane technical difficulties at the beginning, like for some reason my freaking thing wasn't turned on. But thank you for sticking around. Thank you for commenting and letting me know the sound wasn't up, because I have no way of knowing without you guys telling me. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Hello and welcome to my weekly live chat. For those who don't know me, my name is Corrina Rachel. It's written right there in case you were wondering how to spell it, because that's an important thing to know these days, all right? This is a super chat, which means that you can leave tips with your comment. And if you like the tips that I am about to give you related to health, wellness, weight loss, stress, anxiety, ASMR, or whatever it might be, then please know that I greatly, greatly appreciate your tips. And we will reward tippers by letting your question be answered first. So YouTube will actually bump those super chat comments up to the top, and I will be sure to expedite the answers for any questions that have a tip associated with them. You may also have noticed that I finally changed my calendar. Yay! It doesn't, you can't tell it's a 2017 calendar, but it is. Yes, it is. We've got Memorial Day coming up very soon. Remember that Memorial Day is not just about getting wasted and partying. It's about honoring those who have served and who have not been so fortunate as we are to still be on this lovely earth today. So please, on this Memorial Day, take a moment to really remember those who have, helped enable us to be here today, watching YouTube and super chatting. Okay, so there are already lots of questions in here, which is awesome. I can hear it in my head, but not on the screen. Very cute, Aurora. Thank you. Okay, so past all the comments about the fact that my microphone wasn't turned on. Yes, and the face I made when I realized it wasn't turned on. Okay, when will Mira be back on the channel? Mira is a very busy gal with her Austin chair massage company, but she is scheduled for shooting and will be back on the channel soon. I know, I was singing my heart out. It's true, I was like really getting into it. That's just funny. Okay, cool. So I'm a certified holistic health coach. I've made hundreds of videos here on Psychetruth YouTube channel, the channel on which you are at this current moment, related to, like I said earlier, weight loss, fitness, health, nutrition. All of these topics are fair game for this chat, so I'm going to get through as many questions as I can. I'm even going to use my timer. Yes, the timer is pretty clutch. Timer engaged. All right, so here's our first question. It comes from Jeff Barlow. Jeff, thank you so much for coming. I always appreciate your support and your questions. So really glad you are back in the chat today, Jeff. And his question, what do you think of canned vegetables? Are they safe to eat? Okay, timer is on. Okay, canned vegetables. Now, it's a little hard to make a super blanket statement about canned foods because there is kind of a variety out there, kind of ranging from things that I would consider safe and even healthful to canned foods that I would put in the junk department. So, just as a general rule of thumb, you're always going to get the most nutritional benefits out of fresh foods. So, as close to the time that that vegetable is picked that you can consume it, you're going to get the most nutrition from it. So, this is one of the reasons I love going to a farmer's market, because you know that those vegetables were picked maybe even that morning. You know, but anything that you buy in the grocery store has already been in transit for anywhere from a week to 2 weeks by the time that you buy it, then let it sit in your house for a few days, and then finally eat it. So freshest is always best, but I understand that's not always affordable. It's not always convenient. So when it comes to canned foods, you just really need to be careful about kind of evaluating the product that you're looking at. And like I said, there are some canned foods out there that I consider somewhat healthful, okay, and that I even eat myself. So anything that's organic, okay, is at least going to let you know that you're kind of in that rung of higher quality canned foods. And there are a lot of organic canned foods out there. A lot of times things like chickpeas, black beans, I'll get them in a can if I'm going camping, or if I just know that, hey, I want to have some stuff on hand that's super fast and easy to make, because obviously canned foods are super convenient. When we're talking about your typical, I guess it's Green Giant is the brand, right? Kind of your typical peas, corn, canned vegetables, you really need to look at the sodium content on the can. And what you'll start to see is that there is a lot of salt being added to these canned vegetables. So not only do the vegetables lose nutrition because it's been so long since those vegetables were picked, okay, just the duration of time, but also the canning process itself and what they're canned with. So things like sodium. In the case of a lot of canned fruits, they're actually in some kind of sugar water. So really look at your ingredients on canned foods, and if it's really just the peas or the corn or the chickpeas, then you're probably safe, or at least you're not eating something that's really unhealthful. But if you start seeing things like there's salt added, sugar added, or oil added, now we're starting to get into, processed foods. They're taken out of their natural state, and you're not going to get nearly as many health benefits from them. So fresh is always best when you can, and then treat your canned foods like everything else. Look at that ingredient label and make sure it's something super simple, not filled with crazy preservatives and added flavors like salt and sugar. That's what you really need to look out for. Jeff, thank you so much for your question. Ooh. So YouTube is bumping comments really fast. That means there's a lot of stuff coming in here. Chuck Fly, what do you think of green tea? Man, so many questions. Okay, green tea. The cool thing about green tea is that it's one of the highest antioxidant sources of any tea out there. And when you drink matcha, okay, that's even more antioxidant content. And basically matcha is just green tea in its least processed state. So when you actually buy the matcha powder, usually it's bright green. That's kind of like unprocessed green tea, so to speak. It's just the leaves ground up, but not dried. So matcha is actually going to be your highest antioxidant content of almost anything. Okay, it's really up there. So matcha is awesome. Green tea is also great. I do think that green tea has, it's been equated with a lot of different health and weight loss benefits, and those are definitely true, but it's really important to point out that, getting changes in your body, things like losing weight or whatever, is not going to come from just one thing. So it's like drinking green tea in the context of eating well, having a good lifestyle, and getting exercise. So I love green tea. I definitely encourage you to drink it. I encourage you to drink matcha if and when you can find it. I know it's a little bit more expensive, but you really get a lot more nutritional punch drinking matcha. I also think it tastes really, really good too. But when we see things like green tea extract and all of these different uses of green tea, I do think that it's just important to exercise a little caution. Even though there are health benefits and it is good for you, a lot of times when we hear really big claims made about any nutrient for that matter, you just need to kind of take it with a grain of salt and know that you're not necessarily going to have like all of the problems in your life resolved from drinking green tea. Add it to your diet, add it to your lifestyle, definitely a helpful thing to do. I do think that there's, like I said, you just need to be wary of those kind of really, really huge, crazy claims that are made about something like that. Whoa, lots of comments. Here we go. Looking for question marks, which by the way, guys, if you put question marks at the beginning of your question, it's going to help me to see it among all of these comments here in the chat room. Butterfly wings obliged. Corrina, my question is, I have a shocking immune system. I always get sick. What are the best foods or activities to help boost my overall wellness? Okay, immune system. And this is a big topic. Actually, a lot of people I know right now are kind of under the weather and sick, which is very, very unfortunate. So again, putting on my 3-minute timer, although I am trying to go even under my timer. Your immune system, one of the worst things for your immune system, okay, well, there's a couple, sugar and stress. And again, those aren't the only two bad things, but in terms of what are the most common things that people are doing that are destroying their immune system and contributing to things like getting sick all the time, lack of sleep, too much stress, and too much sugar. Sugar is infinitely horrible for virtually all of the different systems in your body, but your immune system is one of the ones that we will actually notice, right? Because we notice when we get sick, right? Now, you need to understand that not all sugars are created equal. So when we're talking about the sugar that you get from fruit, okay, this is a very, very different animal than the sugar that you get from Twinkies and sodas and the little sugar packets that they have when you go to restaurants. So that refined sugar, the little white granulated sugar that's in the little glass jar with the cute little lid, and sometimes it gets plugged up and then you pour sugar all over everything. All right, that stuff is very, very terrible for you. It's highly processed, it's highly refined. So it's like if you took the beet, the sugar beet, or you took the corn, okay, and you just ate the food, it's very different than when you refine the sugar out. The same process that they use to make cocaine, right? So if you just took the coca leaf and chewed on it, it's totally different than when you actually refine that leaf down and create a highly toxic chemical known as cocaine. So think of sugar just like cocaine. I mean, honestly, they're not completely the same, right? But when we talk about they're highly refined, they're highly processed, they're highly addictive, they set off reward pathways in your brain, unlike the natural version of the food, right? So when you eat an ear of corn, it doesn't give you nearly the same response as when you eat something with high fructose corn syrup. So avoiding sugar is one of the most important things you can do, again, for your overall health and also for your immune system. And then also getting sleep, handling stress. If you just are a person with high stress levels and you kind of always feel anxious and you always feel tense, that's a really good sign that your stress levels are affecting your health. And your immune system is one of the first things to go. So guided meditations, regular yoga practice, taking long walks. Okay, there are so many simple things that you can do to reduce your stress levels. Sit in the grass. We actually get basically electron activity from the earth when we walk barefoot or when we sit in the grass. So understand that when it comes to managing your stress levels, it doesn't have to be some out-of-the-box thing. It can literally just be spending more time outside, going for long walks, sitting in the grass for a while will be a very grounding and stress-relieving activity. As far as foods and other things to boost your immune system, can't say enough about eating vegetables. Okay, especially those leafy green vegetables are super chock full of nutrients. We can also talk about things like lemon, garlic. Turmeric is a fantastic anti-inflammatory. So you can take it in pills. You can just add turmeric powder to things. There's a lot of benefits that just come from kind of simple herbs and spices that really have immune boosting benefits. Also worth noting that your immune system largely resides in your gut, in your digestive tract. So if you have digestive tract issues, IBS, acid reflux, or just general bloating and indigestion, then dealing with your digestive tract, maybe taking something like probiotics to help improve the health of your digestive tract, that can also do wonders for your immune system. Okay, really good question. Butterfly Wings, thank you so much. I do not recommend taking Adderall for weight loss. I'm just seeing that quickly in a question. That is a psychotropic drug. It's a methamphetamine. You know, it's not quite the same as speed, but it's in the same category of amphetamines. So yes, it could probably help you lose weight. Is it good for you? No. Is it healthy weight loss? No. Is it dependent? Or is it something you can become dependent on? Yes. So if your doctor prescribes you Adderall for attention related things, that's one thing. But taking something, what would be considered off label, so taking something for a purpose other than what it's prescribed for, never a good idea, especially when we're talking about psychotropic drugs. Holistic 79. I'm going to try to get through this question quickly, but I do want to answer it because it's a really good question. And I think that this is something that can just apply in general to our lives. How do we deal with devastating news? Now, Holistic 79, the specific question is how to deal with devastating news about your health in a holistic way. But again, this answer is kind of like going to be in general about dealing with devastating news. We are constantly bombarded by devastating news. We're constantly bombarded by bad things happening to us. And in the case of our health, a lot of times it can feel like we're bombarded by devastating news about our health. Your heart is weak, your this is that, you need to do this, you need to do that. And what we kind of tend to do is just human nature is we fixate on the negative. And this is true across the board, whether we're talking about our health, whether we're talking about our finances, right? What do we tend to do? Do we focus on the fact that we got a bonus or we got a raise? No, we focus on the fact that my rent is due and my bills are due and my this is past due, right? We always focus on the negative. So my advice, and this is, again, something easier said than done. It's something to work toward. And that's simply to notice the negative. It's always going to be there. I'm not telling you to ignore it. Notice the negative, but try not to focus on it. Which means all you have to do is think about it once. And then catch yourself when you keep thinking about those negative things over and over, and try to just place your focus on something positive. So whatever the devastating news is, whatever the bad news is, And I understand that a lot of times it can be really bad. And I'm not trying to, say that it doesn't matter, but in whatever context we're dealing with, there's always something good. There's always something to be grateful for. So again, it's a practice. It's something to work on, which is just starting to try and shift your focus from being constantly infatuated with thinking about the negative and challenging yourself to think about what you have to be grateful for. So in the realm of health, even if we found out that, we have this condition or that condition or a certain organ is suffering, maybe we even have to get a transplant or something. Start trying to just keep your focus on, well, what do I still have to be grateful for? And if you think about it in terms of, what do I have that other people don't have? At least for me, this is like a very humbling thing to do. So even when I'm feeling overwhelmed by the fact that I'm this and I'm that and I'm whatever and this is wrong and that is wrong, I can still come back to these things I'm grateful for. I can walk, I can talk, I can see and hear. I have the ability to carry things, to move around, to drive a car, to do the things I need to do in my regular life. And if you can start to create this gratitude list and maybe even write it down, because again, our human nature is to focus on the negative. So it's kind of a challenge for ourselves to try and think about that gratitude list and remember those things you're grateful for, those things that you still have. One of the last things I'll say really quickly here is that whenever I'm feeling bad and down and devastated, I look for something I can do to try and help another person. What can I do to do something positive or create something positive for someone else, or just offer someone, an ear or a shoulder to cry on, or whatever it might be. So when we give of ourselves to help others, I think that's one of the most positive things that we can ever do to help feel better about ourselves in the situation that we're in. Okay, pausing for the cause of hydration. Kenny Johnson, how do I get fit when I have bad back problems due to scoliosis? I want to lose a few pounds and tighten up my core, but most exercises hurt my back. So Kenny, obviously the recommendation would be, to really seek out certain things you can do that don't hurt your back. Working with a physical therapist, working with, probably physical therapy would be the first thing I would recommend. And if you put in physical therapist in your zip code, you can probably find someone that will either meet with you one time to help teach you things you can do, or maybe show you ways to modify certain exercises so that it's not painful for you. Or you could actually meet with that person once a week to do your workout and actually let them guide you through it. Working with a professional is definitely, I think, the most important thing to consider doing in a situation like this. If you have injuries, if you have structural issues going on, then, listening to your body can only go so far. I will say that there are certain back braces out there that have been made specifically for situations like this to try and keep the spine in alignment while people are exercising. So you may consider trying something out like that. But again, working with a physical therapist is probably going to be your best bet, and hopefully they can help teach you some exercises and things that you can do so that you maybe don't have to necessarily meet with them all the time. Have you looked online? for something like that. I would imagine that somewhere there's a physical therapist who's actually created informational videos specifically for people with scoliosis and things that they can do to lose weight and not have bad effects on that condition. Thank you so much for all of your sweet comments. Liller Gold, best nutritional or health tips for high chronic stress. So I was talking a little while ago about sugar in the immune system. Well, sugar is also something that causes a lot of stress on the body. Literally speaking, when you consume sugar and you are spiking up your insulin levels very high, this is part of what induces a stress response. So when we are talking about nutritional and health tips for stress, avoiding sugar is one of the first things I can mention. And again, that doesn't apply to fruit. All right, so the best thing you can do is maybe start trading out the sweet things you're eating and instead satisfy your sweet tooth with a piece of fruit instead. Man, that's a tongue twister. But anyhow, as much as you can reduce that refined sugar in your diet is really, really important for reducing stress. Also worth noting that caffeine is also going to be very stress inducing. So remove caffeine, sugar, alcohol would be another one. In terms of things that you should be eating when it comes to stress, interestingly, celery contains a component, I can't remember the exact name off the top of my head, but celery is known to have very strong stress reducing and anxiety reducing benefits. So eat more celery. I hopefully don't need to tell you eat more vegetables, eat more salads. When it comes to our body's ability to handle stressful situations, a lot of this can come down to things like B vitamins. And on that note, you know, if you are really suffering from chronic high stress, you may even consider taking a B vitamin supplement. B1 is known for helping to people to handle stress and things like that. But in general, B vitamins as a whole are going to be a really, really good idea for anything related to stress. What's another good hack for stress? Staying away from processed foods. The more you can eat natural foods in their minimally processed state, this is going to be the best thing for you. And I just, as a caveat, would mention, trying to not let nutrition stress you out. If you're trying to eat better to reduce your stress, then don't let that whole process of eating better cause you more stress. And just do your best with what you can do and what's available and affordable, and know that simply having that intention to try and handle your stress is going to go a long way. Looking for questions. I will remind you guys as the number of questions increases. There's my alarm. Okay, got through that question in less than 3 minutes. That's good. If you would like to expedite the answer to your question, then please consider leaving me a tip. If you like my tips, then share the love. I don't know, that's a stupid thing to say. But if you like the tips that you're hearing today, please know I greatly, greatly appreciate any tip that you can leave here in the chat, and I will reward your tips by answering those questions first. I'm not going to show my feet in this chat. I never have. Aurora whispers, and thank you for all those question marks. Aurora, are whole wheat carbs, bread, pasta, rice, etc., really better than white bread, white pasta, etc., or are they just as bad? Are there alternatives to eat? Really good question. Here comes my timer, because this is a topic I could talk about forever, but I'm going to try not to. So when it comes to white bread, white pasta, flour tortillas, okay, part of what makes those foods so terrible is that same refining process that I was talking about a little while ago when I was talking about sugar and cocaine, right? So cocaine is taking something natural and refining it down. And it's the same thing that's done in sugar. And it's the same thing that's done in white bread and stuff. So they take the grain and they just isolate out the starchy part, the white part. So that's why your white breads are white. And when you buy a whole grain bread or something like that, it's brown. And it's because when you use the whole grain, okay, the whole wheat grain, it actually contains this fibrous part. I can't remember all the names. It's like endosperm, something or other. But bottom line is that when you use all the parts, the bread you create from that is brown. All right, so the white bread is bad because it's just the starchy part. You lose the fiber, you lose the nutrients, minerals, and vitamins that are present in the bread that help you digest it. So yes, whole grain bread is definitely better, but number one, you have to note that most of the wheat breads out there, really you need to read the ingredients on them, because if you read the ingredients, even of the health nut bread, okay, the ones in the grocery store that look all healthy and they're brown and they look like they'd be really good for you, if you read the ingredients, a lot of them still contain that enriched flour. And that's that highly concentrated starchy flour that they put in the white bread that's so bad for you. And then maybe they'll use a little bit of whole wheat flour and some caramel color to make it look brown. But again, you need to read your ingredient list. Now, when we're talking about legit 100% whole wheat bread or whole grain bread, now you're at least getting healthier on the spectrum, because you get the fiber, you get the minerals, all of those different nutritional components in the grain. You're getting those. But again, you need to look on the label and make sure it says like 100% whole wheat flour. And it doesn't have the enriched flour in there too. Now, realistically speaking, even that 100% whole grain bread is still a processed food. It's not in its minimally processed state, right? Because there is no plant that like grows wheat bread out of it, right? You have to grow the wheat, and then the wheat gets processed and turned into flour, and that's how you get your bread. So even whole wheat carbs, whole grain breads are still processed foods. And depending on who you ask, many people will say, hey, don't eat those foods at all. I did a paleo conference this weekend, and in the world of paleo lifestyles, they do not eat bread, period. Not even whole wheat bread. And it's because it's processed. So yes, whole wheat is better than just white, but the healthier alternatives would be even a less processed grain, which would be like rice, quinoa. Typically for me, if I go into the bulk department of the grocery store, that's where you find your minimally processed grains. And for the most part, they prepare just like rice. You add maybe like 2 parts water to 1 part grain, heat it up, and boom, you've got either like oatmeal, rice, quinoa, but there's a lot of grains out there, not just wheat. So you might have millet, amaranth, etc. So the healthiest alternatives are getting those minimally processed grains, and they're not going to have an ingredient list, right? Because it's just the grain, or in the case of quinoa, it's actually a seed. You know, bottom line is to avoid processed foods as much as possible. I have a lot of videos on this topic. There's a video I did called The Truth About Carbohydrates. Aurora, that may give you a little bit more information on that topic. Really hope that answer helped you out, or at least, you know, gave you a quick answer, quick answer to the question. Whoa, lots of question marks. Here we go. Linda Latina, 33, foods that help lower blood sugar levels. Let's see. So virtually all foods are going to increase your blood sugar level unless they literally contain no sugar at all. So asking for like the foods that help lower your blood sugar, it's not, I mean, you got to recognize that all foods will increase the sugar in your bloodstream unless you eat something that does not contain any sugar at all. So when you're talking about trying to lower your blood sugar levels, what are the foods you should eat? The answer would be things that are predominantly healthy fats or healthy protein. So when you look at what they call the glycemic index, basically this is just a fancy schmancy table that kind of shows you how certain foods affect your blood sugar levels or your blood glucose. So the things that boost your blood sugar levels the absolute most, at the very top are things like fruit roll-ups, pure sugar, right? Very little fiber, very little anything else. So you got like fruit roll-ups, corn flakes, white bread, potato chips. These things, you know, obviously pure sugar. But even white bread is higher glycemic than pure sugar, interestingly enough. So all of those processed foods are typically higher on the glycemic index. So if you were to simply avoid processed sugar, avoid processed foods, and just try to eat natural foods, even your fruits that are particularly high in sugar are not going to have as much of a blood sugar effect as those processed foods. They also tend to contain things like fiber and other nutrients that help to balance the effect on your blood sugar levels. As you move down the glycemic index, we start to get into your fruits, your vegetables, your healthy, unprocessed foods, okay, things that have not been processed. And then you get into your healthy fats, things like nuts, avocados, even eggs. Okay, eggs are very, very low glycemic because they don't contain carbs. So you can look up something called the glycemic index and actually use that and try to just eat foods that are low on it. Or just think, you know, I'm going for healthy fats and healthy sources of protein, trying to avoid carbohydrates, refined carbohydrates, and of course things that are super sweet, that contain any kind of refined sugar in them. Interestingly enough, cinnamon is also known to help regulate blood sugar levels. So adding cinnamon to the things that you're eating is a really good idea. Can actually help to stabilize your blood sugar levels. I'm not technically a dietitian. I'm a certified holistic health coach. I received my certification from the Institute of Integrative Nutrition. It's different than a registered dietitian, though. A registered dietitian is typically going to be very mainstream in their health and weight loss advice, like recommending people to eat things that are fat-free. Whereas a holistic health coach, a doctor of functional medicine, or kind of the integrative nutritional approach will tell you that no, actually your body needs fats, and the worst thing you can do is to eat a low-fat or fat-free diet. So it's kind of the difference between integrative health or functional medicine and the mainstream kind of registered dietitian approach. Alrighty. My YouTube just froze. Yes, in college I studied English and biology. I see people sitting here talking about why am I qualified to give this information. And guys, for anything that I say here, go ahead. Go look for other people. Go look for other approaches. There's tons of information out there, and everyone's different. I'm not trying to sit here and say that, like, I'm all holier than thou and I'm the end-all be-all of everything. I'm just telling you guys, this is what I've researched. This is what I have found to be true for myself and my health coaching clients. The information that I have read, the people I have interviewed, the books I have read, this is the information that I have found. And largely, there's a lot of other people that are also promoting this information. I'm not just like making stuff up off the top of my head. Whoa. I gotta not read other people's just random comments in here. Okay, Diane Bingham. How to cut sugar cravings. So this is cool because this kind of dovetails along with, what we've already been talking about today. We talked about how sugar destroys your immune system. Sugar causes stress. Sugar reduces your ability to handle stressful situations, meaning that it's going to lead to problems with anxiety and even things with insomnia where you literally can't fall asleep. So sugar, so many different problems. We also were just talking a moment ago about blood sugar levels. How do you reduce your blood glucose or blood sugar levels? So kind of on this same whatever you want to call it, sugar cravings. Another really big issue. So a couple things to consider. Probably first and foremost, understand, like I kind of explained a while ago, that sugar is basically a drug in the sense that it is a highly refined and highly concentrated chemical that is derived from plants but is not present naturally anywhere. So even though they make refined sugar from sugar canes and sugar beets, there is no plant on the planet from which you could just extract a grain of sugar. It's man-made. It's unnatural. How many, I don't know what the best way is to make it sink in, but you need to understand it's basically a man-made drug. So because it's a man-made drug, we become addicted to it. Our bodies, respond to sugar in what's called the reward pathways of the brain. So the same way that we get addicted to, to stimulating drugs, we actually can become addicted to sugar because of the reward response that we get when we eat it. So when it comes to cutting sugar cravings, unfortunately, one of the most important things you need to do is actually reduce the amount of sugar that you're eating. Because the more that you are putting sugar into your body, the more you are perpetuating that your body's going to continue to crave that food. And especially when you're having a sugar craving and then you go ahead and eat a bunch of refined sugar, you're like reinforcing to your body that like, hey, that's fine. If you crave sugar, I'm going to give it to you. So treating your body like a drug addict. Maybe that wasn't necessarily the right thing to say, but in terms of overcoming your sugar addiction, things you need to do. When you get those sugar cravings, answer that sugar craving with a natural form of sweetness. So a piece of fruit is probably the healthiest way to satisfy a sugar craving, because it gives you all of these nutritional benefits. In addition, it gives you the fiber. And then in terms of the amount of sugar, the amount of insulin that is released when you consume it, even your highest sugar fruits are not going to be as horrible for you as a Twinkie or a fruit roll-up or one of these processed refined sugar type foods. So answering sugar cravings with a healthy source of sweetness like fruit, honey, even maple syrup, if you make sure that it's just 100% maple syrup. Okay, it's not the same as the, pancake syrup that you find at IHOP. Okay, that's basically high fructose corn syrup with maple flavor added or something like that. When we talk about 100% pure maple syrup, you have a healthy sweetener. Stevia is also worth mentioning because that's actually sugar-free completely. It's an herbal sweetener, basically. So another thing to consider is the energy in your body. Another reason that we crave sugar is that it's like instant energy. But it's instant energy that comes at a cost. So the best fuel for your body, okay, is actually fat. When your body burns fat for fuel, this is the best case scenario when it comes to your health. So what ends up happening, because we live in a world where we're constantly eating sugar, it's in everything, and remember that white bread, white flour, and pasta is also just like sugar when it hits your bloodstream. So even though it's not sweet, you need to lump it in the same category with refined sugar and the stuff you need to avoid. Okay, those refined carbohydrates. So when we have all of this sugar floating around in our bloodstream, your body is like, oh, hey, I need some energy. I'm just going to go grab this sugar from that candy bar my person just ate. Rather than, if you are going throughout your day, your body needs energy, guess what? Your body has energy stored up all over it. Look at all the stored energy I have right here. Yeah. Right? But the stored fat on our bodies, that's energy waiting to be used. But if you're putting a bunch of sugar in your bloodstream, then your body is never going to go through the effort it takes to turn that stored fat into a ketone and then burn it for energy. So from an energetic standpoint, we are sugar burners. And what that means is that every time our body needs energy, it just tells our brain to go eat some sugar. So now we kind of can look at two different pathways that sugar cravings come from. The fact that sugar is actually addictive. It sets off reward pathways in the brain the same way that controlled substance does. But also from an energetic standpoint, the body will crave sugar when it needs that energy. So what do you need to do to get rid of sugar cravings? You need to address the reward pathway issue, which is by eating something healthy to satisfy a sugar craving, like a piece of fruit, honey, maple syrup, or something like that. And then from an energetic standpoint, helping your body learn to become a fat burner instead of a sugar burner. Now it's kind of a, and I've already like overgone my timer here, so I'm going to go ahead and go on. But if y'all want me to continue on this topic, let me know. Helping your body become more efficient at burning fat for fuel is actually going to help you to reduce your sugar cravings, because now your body's not going to just crave sugar like a drug addict that's like, hey, I need energy, just give me the sugar. Your body can actually learn to be like, hey, I need energy. I'm going to go get it from your thighs. I'm going to go get it from your belly. I'm going to go find that energy that's stored all over your body, and I'm going to burn that. Because that's actually what's healthier for the body anyways, is to burn fat for fuel rather than sugar. Cool. So Diane Bingham, that was your question. Thank you so much for that question. Kevin Julian, what is your position on fasting? For example, a 10-day water fast or intermittent fasting. This is such a huge topic. I actually have a video that's coming out very soon that kind of touches on this topic. And then I'm working on a video right now about intermittent fasting. Gonna see how much of this question I can answer in 3 minutes. Let's see what goes on here. All right. Okay, so first things first. There's a lot of difference between a 10-day water fast and intermittent fasting. Fasting for short periods of time is very, very different than fasting for long periods of time. And these should really be addressed separately. But I'm going to attempt to kind of hopefully give an answer that will tie all of that in. So basically, when we're talking about fasting, we're talking about prolonging the period of time between your meals. And actually, Diane, I see your comment on here now. She says, I got hooked on healthy sugars, Corrina. So now she's hooked on the healthy sources of sweetness. So let's talk about fasting. Fasting for prolonged periods of time is one way we help train our body to become more efficient at burning fat for fuel. So the reason this is important is that, number one, most of us have stored up fat all over our bodies that we would like to get rid of. And your body is never going to start burning through that stored up fat if you're constantly putting sugar in your bloodstream. So the whole idea of fasting is just prolonging the period of time between your meals, prolonging the period of time between an insulin release in the body. Because every time your blood sugar elevates, your body releases insulin. So let's take intermittent fasting as an example. The intermittent fasting that I would recommend for any of you that are out there and you're like, I really want to try it, here's what I recommend you try. Take the period of time that you're already fasting and work towards extending the duration of that fast. So for most of us, that's the time that we're sleeping, right? Our longest fast is when we are asleep. Because when we wake up, we're typically eating every 4 to 6 hours. And if you are snacking throughout the day, or drinking sodas, or whatever throughout the day, then you have even shorter periods of fasting. And if you think about someone who's constantly sipping on sodas, or who has a little thing of candies on their desk and is constantly eating candies, you can start to kind of imagine that person constantly has insulin in their bloodstream. And as long as insulin is in your bloodstream, your body is not going to burn fats, period. And I'm not just talking about weight loss here, okay? Because this is really important when it comes to sugar cravings too. Because as long as that insulin is in your bloodstream, and as long as your body is in sugar burning mode, your body's not burning fat for fuel. And it's going to keep craving sugars when it needs energy because it basically forgets how to burn fat for fuel in the first place. Or it says, why am I going to do extra work to convert stored fat into ketones when I can just tell my person to crave sugar and I know that they're going to eat it? So, extending the period of the longest fast of your day. So what that would mean is that you have the last thing you're going to eat at least 3 hours before bedtime. Don't eat within 3 hours of going to sleep. And if you are going to eat in that period, you're starving, you have to eat something, make sure it's a healthy source of fat or protein. Don't eat any sugar. Okay, so then you got 3 hours. Then you go to sleep. You sleep for what? Let's say 8 hours, ideally, right? So now you're looking at about an 11-hour period of fasting. 3 hours before bed, 8 hours of sleeping, and now we want to prolong the time before you eat breakfast or before you eat lunch by the time you eat it. At the point that you can go maybe an hour after waking up before you eat, try that for a week, and then maybe try going 2 hours, and then keep moving it up from there. And over time, what you're looking at is that this fasting period extends, and now we are, like if there's 24 hours in the day, maybe your fasting period is something like 14 hours, and then there's only a 10-hour period of the day that you're eating. So that would be considered intermittent fasting, right? So you eat for 10 hours of the day, then you fast for 14 hours. Eat for 10 hours, fast for 14 hours. But you get the idea that you have this prolonged fasting period, and during that time, your body is being forced to go in and burn up that stored fat on your body for fuel, because you're not giving any sugar into your bloodstream. This is also kind of what's known as ketosis or a ketogenic diet. The whole idea is that you are not giving your body those sugars and those carbohydrates, and your body is challenged to go in and burn those ketones instead, to burn that fat all over your body. And that's why a ketogenic diet is so effective, because it's basically forcing your body to burn fat for fuel instead of letting your body get away with just burning sugar for fuel and then perpetuating sugar cravings anytime that blood sugar level starts to go low. Now, when it comes to people who talk about fasting for like 5 days at a time, 10 days at a time, or eat a day, skip a day, eat a day, skip a day, I personally feel that that is more stressful on your body and is kind of defeating the purpose. Because with anything that we do in trying to lose weight or trying to get healthy, we always have to balance, like, how much stress is this thing going to cause me? A great example is P90X. P90X is such a stressful, demanding regimen that I personally feel that it's not healthy. Because you're putting your body under so much stress that even though you probably will lose weight, during those 90 days, you've created so much stress in the body that that weight loss, number one, is not sustainable. You're probably going to gain it back. And number two, the elevated stress levels have their own ill effects. So even if it helps you lose weight, it's not healthy for you. And that's kind of how I feel about a lot of extended fasts. Now, I already went over my timer, so I do want to kind of wrap this up. But there's lots of videos out there that I've done about fasting and cleansing. The bottom line is to not shock your system. If you're someone who's already living a really healthy and active lifestyle and eating well, then trying something like a 5-day juice cleanse, and this is how I recommend that you fast if you're going to do it, what's called a juice fast, where you're still drinking green juices while you're fasting. So you're fasting from solid food, but you still have nutrients coming in, as opposed to a water fast where you literally don't eat anything. Again, if you're really healthy, you have a really healthy lifestyle, that's maybe something that your body can handle. But for the typical person out there, and even for myself, I think that water fasting is actually more stressful on the body, and it's just something that you really need to do your research on and do it correctly and prepare your body before and after to transition from eating regular food. So do your research. Don't just be like, I'm gonna do this and not eat, because it's just not that simple, unfortunately. Cool, so somebody asked, is this a super chat? How do you send a tip? Basically, in the little comment box down there where you have the option to say something, there is a little tiny $ sign right underneath it. It just kind of looks like an S. They could have done something to make it look more like a $ sign, but they didn't do that. But anyways, if you just click on that little S/$ sign looking thing underneath the chat box, you will have the option to leave a tip. I did see that Charlie Wallace left a tip during that question. Charlie, thank you so much. Here you go. You get the Jimi Hendrix chord. Oh, Charlie Wallace, you're amazing. Yeah. All right. You know how they like ring a bell when somebody leaves a tip at like coffee shops and stuff like that? Well, that's my version of ringing a bell. So Charlie, thank you so much for your tip. You are so kind. Charlie is also one of our biggest Patreon supporters. So Charlie, you should understand that you are a big part of keeping Psychetruth alive, and we are so very grateful for that. So thank you, thank you, thank you. If you think of a question, please leave it for me. Although Charlie's been coming to these chats for a long time, so maybe you don't have a question for me today. But I do owe you an answer, so whenever you have a question, you just let me know. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, Preethi Rao, I don't know if I said your name right, is asking about millet. Can we eat millet every day? So millet is one variety of grain that's out there. So most of us, we think about grains, and we're just eating wheat, right? Everything in the mainstream diet anyway is made with wheat, but it's only one type of grain. There's a lot of them. So millet is just one of them. I would certainly say that yes, it is safe to eat millet every day. That would be fine. But it is worth pointing out that the ideal scene is having variety in our diet and not just eating the same thing all the time. And certainly among the different grains, okay, recognizing that they all have different nutritional profiles or different nutritional offerings. So yes, totally fine to eat millet every day. But if you can kind of challenge yourself to mix it up and try other grains as well, that's really the ideal scene to work towards, because they're all going to give you different nutritional benefits. And you know, having that variety in our diet is the best way to ensure what could be called like balanced nutrition, making sure that you get all of the different nutritional components that the body needs. George Knott Smith, thank you for sticking up for me. Grim Ace. Your screen name always makes me smile, even though it's Grimace. Grim Ace, is 8 hours of sleeping the best, or should people take cat naps like kitty cats do? I try to get whatever I can get. So this is actually a really good question, and actually I've been reading a lot recently about sleep. And interestingly enough, you know, one thing to consider is that everyone really is different. Some people need more sleep than others. 8 hours is definitely a good thing to aim towards. That's a kind of just good general baseline. But there are people out there who, you know, apparently do not need as much sleep as others. In the same way that there's some people out there who actually need more sleep than the average person. And the recommendation is that if you don't get the full 8 hours of sleep during the night, try to make it up in a nap. Interestingly, we can't really make up sleep the next night. Okay, so if you're trying to make up sleep that you missed, the best way to do it is to get it in a nap form that same day. Now, I'm not really a big napper myself. I typically feel like I would rather just push through the day and then try to go to bed earlier that night. But since reading this article recently about sleep that kind of recommended that you should nap instead, I'm gonna kind of start trying to give that a try. I do think that there's a lot of benefit for little cat naps, little what do they call that? Like a energy nap. But again, every person is different. I typically feel like if I nap during the day, I wake up and I feel more groggy. But at the same time, once you kind of get through that fog or whatever of waking up from your nap, I do actually feel more energized and have a lot more clarity. So, I think each person ultimately is the one who's gonna have to make that ultimate decision, like what works best for you. Is napping something that helps you? Is napping something that is maybe not helpful to you? But aiming for 8 hours of sleep a night is definitely a good idea. And if you need to make it up in a nap, then do that and, see how it works for you. See how it helps your overall energy levels. One really kind of high sign of adrenal fatigue, that you're maybe not getting enough sleep, is having really short fuse. So you get frustrated easily, you get aggravated easily, if you get really bad road rage and stuff like that, it's probably a sign that you are fatiguing your adrenals, which is a whole other topic that can be related to things like caffeine. But ultimately, adrenal fatigue stems from not enough sleep. So if you feel like you're a person with a short fuse, getting more sleep and maybe even cat napping throughout the day, if you can only sleep so late in the morning, should hopefully help both of those issues. Yes, Sir Mohammed, I do my very best to answer questions. There's like hundreds of people in here and hundreds of comments. Please don't hold it against me that I missed your question. Okay, if you want to leave it again, that will increase your chance of me being able to answer it. But you leaving me this kind of passive-aggressive, mean comment. Okay, and if you want to guarantee that your question gets answered, leave a tip. Leave a tip. There is no minimum tip, okay? It's so funny because we, throughout the day, and we spend money all day long. We spend money buying coffee, buying food, buy a magazine, buy a subscription to Amazon Prime, pay for this, pay for that, pay for this app. If people really sat down and looked for like, hey, is there $1 that I could spare from somewhere else to help contribute to a channel that's helped me, maybe you would do it. Life on YouTube is getting really crazy. And if you watch other channels, you've probably noticed, we are not the only people that are being affected by this whole advertiser boycott on YouTube. Despite the fact that our views are higher than ever, YouTube is no longer supporting us the way that it used to. So we really appreciate your tips. We really depend on your tips and your support. So, please share the love. And minimally, don't share the hate in your comments, of like, I'm like giving my time, giving my information, trying to give my help to people. So can you please not be rude and passive aggressive to me? Please? Like minimally? Sigh. Jeff Barlow, Corrina, I have lost weight and feel better using your advice. Thank you so much. You're so welcome. Thank you for sharing that comment. It makes my day. Totally makes me feel better. Especially when I got people flinging hate at me all over the place. Okay, there's a question about apple cider vinegar. It already bumped it out of my feed here, so I actually can't see where it came from. But I did see apple cider vinegar up there. Apple cider vinegar. There's actually a lot of different reasons that apple cider vinegar is beneficial for our health. I think the question was about, like, is it bad for your teeth or something like that? I think one thing to consider is just, like, the duration of time that something is on our teeth. You know, when we talk about coffee, we talk about sodas, one of the big problems is that those things tend to spend a lot of time on our teeth. Whereas if you're putting a little bit of apple cider vinegar in water every morning, we're talking about like 1 glass of water worth of apple cider vinegar. If you're really worried about it, brush your teeth after you do your apple cider vinegar water, or just swish your mouth out with water or something like that. You know, apple cider vinegar left on your teeth for a long time could potentially be damaging, but it certainly, I would feel that its health benefits outweigh that damage. And especially when you consider that most people are putting much worse stuff on their teeth all throughout the day. I think if you're doing something healthy like apple cider vinegar and water, then, you know, the effect on your teeth is kind of minimal compared to the health benefits you get from it. You know, when you guys leave a comment that says, screw you, you won't answer my question, that doesn't help me because I can't see your question. And I could scroll up looking for your question, you know, but just leave it again. You don't need to spam the comments leaving it like 800 times. But when you just leave a passive aggressive comment about how mad you are that I haven't answered your question, well, like, I could have answered your question if you would have just left it for me again. I live in New York. I can't help my road rage. There should be an option underneath the comment box, a little $sign that says super chat, and you click it and you tip. I don't know. I mean, if you guys are on other devices or something, perhaps it's not giving you that option, which is weird because YouTube knows that most people watch on mobile. So they should have super chat enabled on mobile devices. I guess I would just say that's another reason that YouTube is like kind of failing their content creators right now. Meaning of life is 42. Oh, excuse me. I guess that this question, Subam Nag, is about, I'm during exam time, I'm only getting 4 hours of sleep, what can I do? Do your best to make up that sleep whenever you can. Now, I remember exam time in college, and, you know, yeah, you don't sleep a lot. But, you know, guys, make up that sleep wherever you can, and remember that, you know, it's a balancing act between your study time and your sleep time. And sometimes it's actually going to benefit you more to choose sleeping over more studying. So, make it up when you can. Do your best. If you really, there's just no time for sleep, look at the other ways that you can relieve and reduce stress in your life. Avoiding stressful situations, avoiding stressful people, avoiding getting in arguments, and then avoiding things that cause stress in the body, like intake of sugar and processed foods. And then when you get out of school, you sleep for 2 weeks straight. I'm 32. I'm not 55, but if I was 55, wouldn't you guys have to be like, dang, you look good for 55? Well, thank you. She's probably mid-20s. I appreciate that. I wished I was still in my mid-20s. Actually, I don't. I'd probably be doing better on YouTube if I was in my earlier mid-20s, but I wouldn't know as much as I know now. So there you go. Amelia Fitch, how should you cleanse your body? ? With juices? Why did I say ? It's from the whole talk to text thing. I'm used to saying question marks now, I guess. Wow, thank you guys for being such haters and talking about how old I look. I'm giving you the finger with my mind. When it comes to cleansing, the most important thing to understand is that your body is constantly cleansing and detoxifying on its own. It's one of the most important functions that your body does. So your liver and your kidneys, and even your gallbladder for that matter, are kind of your primary detoxification organs. And they're constantly working 24 hours a day to help cleanse and detoxify our bodies. Now, the thing is that our liver and kidneys are basically being overwhelmed by the prevalence of processed foods, processed sugars, and other toxins that we're taking in. So we can look at problems like liver disease, kidney disease, and note that, well, clearly these organs are under duress. They're being challenged. They're not able to do all of that detox on their own. And it's because most of us are just putting so many toxins into the body. There's only so much that your body can do. So supporting your liver, supporting your kidneys. I would start with really stupid, simple things, like drinking more water. Pretty much every person on the planet would benefit from drinking more water. And when it comes to your kidneys, replacing things like sodas, coffee, and alcohol with water, or coconut water, one of my favorite things, is a really, really, really good idea. Not only because water isn't toxic, but also because water is the universal solvent. It's really important for making sure that those organs can function the way that they're supposed to. Apple cider vinegar is great as a liver support. So one of the health benefits of taking apple cider vinegar is that it helps to promote that detoxification that your liver is doing. Things like beets, watermelon, kale, olive oil, these are all known to be very, very beneficial for the liver. So basically taking in healthier, more natural foods is a really good thing to do. Now, there are a lot of green juices and different detox juice products out there. Those are great as well. One of the coolest things about green juices is that you're essentially getting, maybe like 3 pounds of vegetables that gets all concentrated down into like 1 bottle of juice. So it makes it a lot easier to consume the nutrients, whereas it might take you 3 meals to eat that much kale. you can actually get a lot of those nutritional benefits by drinking a green juice. So I love green smoothies, green juices, something I drink all the time. Those are really, really good things to include in your diet. Also remember, if you're talking about cleansing and detox, you have to have movement. Now, rigorous exercise is great. Sweating is great, but it doesn't have to be that extent. If you can't see yourself doing rigorous exercise and breaking a sweat, that's okay, but you still have to move. Any kind of stretching, movement, yoga, walking through a park is going to be a really good thing to help encourage that cleansing and detox in your body. Okay. Y'all are cracking me up. Somebody get the super glue. Y'all are cracking me up. All right, so I'm going to give a last call for alcohol. And by alcohol, I mean tips, please. On a quick side note here, as I start wrapping up the chat and give you guys one last chance to leave a tip, one last chance for one last question, I do want to, I didn't write it back up there. I do want to tell you guys about Psychetruth Plus. So we have rolled out our subscription service. You may have noticed that recently on YouTube, we're not posting as much massage. And it's because massage videos are what YouTube considers advertiser unfriendly. So they've actually been unlisting the videos or demonetizing them. The amount that YouTube pays you per view on a massage video is like minuscule. So we've not been posting as much massage on this channel, but we have tons of massage videos on Psychetruth Plus, along with a lot of fitness, a lot of yoga, guided meditation series. We're going to be doing a lot of ASMR videos and ASMR massage also on Psychetruth Plus. So consider joining up. We're offering a coupon code right now. If you just go to psychetruth.net, it will take you to the subscription page for Psychetruth Plus. We've also been linking that at the top of our video descriptions, so it should be easy for you to find that. But consider becoming part of the Psychetruth family, getting access to tons and tons of videos that will not be available on YouTube. As a side note, if you have Amazon Prime, we've also been posting a lot of content on Amazon Prime as well, and you can watch those videos without ads. What could be better than that? If you do have Prime and you check us out there, I hope that you will consider leaving us a review. The Amazon reviews really, really do help us out. We really appreciate them. So on Prime, Psychetruth Plus, we also have a Patreon page where we offer, behind the scenes and all kinds of fun stuff for our Patreon supporters. So consider showing us a little love. We greatly appreciate it. We need your support more than ever because of how crazy this stuff on YouTube has gotten. Our old business model of just making informational YouTube videos, it's not enough anymore to support us as a business. And no, the videos are not inappropriate. They're the same as our massage videos that we've always put on YouTube. But YouTube, I guess, considers them inappropriate. And so, we're not putting as many massage videos on this channel. But no, they're not naked. They're not sexual. They're nothing. They are the professional massage tutorials, just like the videos that we have always posted before. it's a long story, and I don't want to sit here for an hour and discuss the YouTube advertiser boycott. If you want to learn more about it, you can put in YouTube advertiser boycott, and you can listen to hundreds of different channels talking about it. Because it's not just affecting us, it's affecting tons of creators. There's actually tons and tons of channels that have been completely destroyed or taken down. Content creators that, you know, are no longer able to produce content at all anymore because of this whole issue. Okay, so guys, if you want to donate, if you want to leave a tip, if you would like to be the last question that gets answered in this chat, there is a little kind of dollar sign looking thing underneath the chat box, and if you hover over it, it says super chat, and if you click that button, it will let you leave a tip. Whoever leaves a tip here is going to be the last question answered today. Erica Blocker, thank you for all these hearts. And Reese, aw, y'all are making me so happy with all of these pretty pink hearts. Give a pretty pink heart to you. I feel bad because my little pink heart is not shaped quite as not, I don't think it's quite as symmetrical as the hearts y'all are giving me. But thank you, thank you, thank you. Y'all are so very, very sweet. Other little quick side note here, I have got a really cool flexibility video featuring Lindsay Samper that is going to be getting published very shortly after this chat concludes. So if you will come back to the channel probably about 15 minutes or so after we wrap up this chat today, you can check out that new Lindsay video. I'm really excited about that video. I remember when we filmed it, and I remember thinking, ooh, I want to try this routine myself. Yes, it's a dollar sign right next to the little smiley face emoji. Oh my gosh. Okay. Wow. Okay, guys. So I'm thinking that it's probably not my lucky day in terms of getting any more tips. So Charlie Wallace, thank you so much for your tip today. We greatly appreciate it. Charlie Wallace carrying this entire chat, helping make all of this possible for all of you. So y'all should thank Charlie. All right, guys. It was time for... One is from Dana Stickler. So Dana, I do think that using a foam roller or something like that before bed is a good idea. But actually what I would, really recommend is what's called silicone massage cups. So it's like a cup, and there's different sizes. And then you push it in, and it like suctions your skin up. And so it's kind of like an inverse massage. So where a massage is pushing downward, the massage cups actually kind of suck the muscle up into the cup. Not necessarily the whole muscle, but or whatever. And then you would just kind of like use the massage cup in broad strokes around the body. What's cool is you have complete control over how much suction you give. So as something as just like a before bed kind of practice, I would recommend using like very minimal suction. But what's cool, and the reason that it's going to be beneficial for helping you to release toxins before bedtime, is that you're getting kind of a dual benefit. So you are actually helping to kind of massage the muscles and just creating that that motion, that friction that helps encourage your muscles to release toxins, helps encourage your muscles to relax. But you're also getting circulation benefits of the lymphatic fluid. So the lymphatic fluid lies just below the skin, but above the fascia, above the muscles, and above the blood circulatory system. But the lymphatic fluid is very, very important transport, not only for bringing good things into the body, but also for transporting toxins. So lymphatic massage, which is also something in and of itself, and you can do lymphatic massage on yourself, but it doesn't have as much of a noticeable effect. Whereas using the silicone massage cups, you really will feel your muscles relax as well. So you're getting those lymphatic and circulation benefits. You're also just giving some kind of pain relief and stress relief to the muscles, which is nice. But one of the things about the lymphatic system is that there isn't a pump. So our blood circulation has our heart, which physically pumps the blood to and from the heart. But the lymphatic system does not have a pump. So it's very easy for the lymphatic fluid to become sluggish or stagnant. And I often use the analogy of a stagnant pond to kind of talk about why it's important to stimulate the lymphatic system. Because you can think about a stagnant pond and how it like smells and it's gross, and also going to contribute to a stagnant lymphatic system. You start to think about that kind of stinky, toxic, disgusting, stagnant pond that you might come across while you're walking through the woods. So I would recommend those silicone massage cups. There's a lot of different companies. The real Donald. I have a really weird feeling you are not actual content creators are suffering as a result of this whole boycott thing. So they have started adding in different things to help creators be more viable, more financially viable, like Super Chat. YouTube also has training modules about how to do paid product placements, training modules for how to have a successful Patreon. So, I mean, YouTube knows that it's becoming very hard for content creators to survive just on YouTube income alone. So they're doing all kinds of things to try and help us remain financially viable so that they don't lose all of the content that has made them billionaires. We also have Psychetruth Plus that has tons and tons of videos being added to it every single week. Videos that are not all of those videos put up on the subscription page there. So guys, thank you so much for being here. I'm sorry that it's freezing so badly. I don't know if it's been that way all day long. That'd just be another reason we love YouTube, wouldn't it? So guys, thank you so much for being here. I cannot thank you enough. I already did the live chat theme song, singing it out, so I'm gonna let y'all go. Thanks for coming. Come back. Remember the veterans that have sacrificed so much for us. All right, Memorial Day is not just about getting wasted and having fun. It's about remembering those who were not as fortunate to still be here with us today, but have made a huge sacrifice to help us be able to be here today. So all the veterans out there, thank you for your service. All the veterans up there, thank you for your service. You guys have a wonderful 3-day weekend. I will see y'all next week. Maybe we will even have a fun surprise if we can have a special guest who hopefully can make it. But anyway, so excitement for next week. Come check us out again. I will see you then. Thank you so much. And y'all have a wonderful, wonderful day.